This tape demonstrates disassembly and alignment of the G mechanism. The same procedure can be followed for the G2 mechanism. Please refer to the appropriate manual. If the mechanism you're working on is jammed, please begin by following the section on the disassembly of the underside of the mechanism, 5 minutes 30 seconds into this tape, and then go back to remove the gears on the top. Reassemble the mechanism as shown later in the tape. The first procedure is to remove the front panel. This is done by removing the single red screw indicated and the clips on either side. We now remove the top plate by first unplugging the ribbon cable on the right hand side and then undoing the 2 gold coloured screws and the single red coloured screw. This part is known as the cassette holder unit. The cassette holder unit is removed by simply sliding the holder forward and pulling up as shown. After the holder is removed, the cassette carriage can be taken out by removing the 4 red screws indicated. The mechanism should then be put in the stop or half-loaded mode by rotating the centre pulley anti-clockwise until the click position is reached. Note that the P4 and P5 arms are moving forward as the centre pulley is rotated and will stop when the first click position is reached. The solenoid is then re-triggered and the pulley further rotated in order to get the mechanism into the stop or half-loaded mode. To verify the stop mode, when the pulley is rotated clockwise, the supply spool rotates, and when rotated anti-clockwise, the take-up spool rotates. Note also that P4 and P5 arms are in their loaded position. The centre pulley is the large pulley wheel on the underside of the mechanism. The next stage is to remove the pinch cam cap. Pinch roller, pinch cam, and pinch speed down gear. This completes the disassembly of the top side of the G mechanism. The next stage is disassembly of the bottom mechanism. Firstly, we remove the timing belt. Then remove the tension roller unit by removing the circlip and gold-coloured screw. Next, remove the cam follower arm by taking off its circlip. The main lever unit, held down by two cut washers, is then removed. Next, we remove the centre pulley, held in by one cut washer. The sector gear, held in by a circlip. Remove centre gear by removing the cut washer and main cam gear by removing the circlip. As each gear is removed, it should be inspected very carefully for subtle damage to the teeth. Even very slight damage to the teeth can cause the mechanism to jump out of alignment. Next, remove the loading cam gear. The retainer gear with its planet gears. The detent arm. The sub-cam gear, and the ring gear. Finally, on top of the deck, the P4 arm is removed. On earlier models, this is held in by a circlip. On later models, it's held in by a clip which is part of the moulding. Before reassembly, ensure that the loading arms are in the fully unloaded position. Ensure that the clutch disc is in the locked position, or first click position. This can be confirmed by firing the solenoid and rotating the clutch disc clockwise through 360 degrees until it clicks. The first gear to be assembled is the ring gear. The two large holes in the 12 and 4 o'clock position should align with the holes in the chassis as shown. The subcam gear follows. This is aligned by matching the large hole in the 3 o'clock position with the hole in the chassis. Also, make sure that the small hole in the 3 o'clock position matches with the small hole in the ring gear. The small hole in the ring gear will be in the 9 o'clock position. All these tooth alignments have to be exact. An error of a single tooth will prevent the machine from working correctly. Note that it should be possible to see through the holes in the chassis. Next, the detent arm is slotted into position. Fitting into the subcam gear. The main cam gear is placed on top of the subcam gear, the large hole in the 3 o'clock position being matched with the large hole in the subcam gear. The retainer gear, with 3 planet gears attached, is then fitted. This gear has 2 large holes in the 12 and 4 o'clock positions, which are aligned on top of the ring gear. Make sure that the small hole in the 9 o'clock position matches with the small hole in the main cam gear. Once again, all these tooth alignments must be exact. The alignment can be checked by dropping a small screwdriver through the large holes and making sure it drops through the chassis. The retainer gear has a small hole in the 2 o'clock position, which is used as a reference point for aligning the loading cam gear. The small hole in the 8 o'clock position in the loading cam gear is aligned with this reference point. Once again, this alignment has to be 100% correct. The centre gear is then installed. The large holes in the 12 and 4 o'clock positions line up exactly on top of the retainer gear and ring gear. The small hole in the 4 o'clock position is used as a reference when aligning with the clutch disc. When installing the centre gear, be careful that the gears underneath do not move out of position. With the main cam gears aligned, the centre gear is then held down using a cut washer. The sector gear is installed. The hole in the sector gear lines up with a plastic marker on the inner ring of the take-up loading gear. The circlips are now fitted to the sector gear and main cam gear. The centre pulley is then slotted in and held in position by a cut washer. The main lever unit is placed into position, ready for alignment. It's important that this post must be outside the hook. 2 further points must be observed in order to correctly position the lever. For more detail, see G Mechanism Manual, page 13, or G2 Mechanism Manual, page 15. The main lever is held in using 2 split washers. The cam follower arm is installed in position as shown and is secured by a circlip. On earlier machines, it may be necessary to install the cam follower arm before the main lever unit. The tension roller unit is then placed in position and secured by a gold-coloured screw and a circlip. Finally, the timing belt is placed in position. This completes the alignment of the underside of the mechanism. The next part of the alignment can be carried out in accordance with the G Mechanism Manual, page 11, figure A2. The connection gear is held in place by a split washer which must be removed so that the connection gear can be taken out. The connection gear must then be realigned using the markings provided. Firstly, it has a mark in the 3 o'clock position, and secondly, an indentation in the 8 o'clock position. The sub-cam gear has a very small hole, as shown here. The indentation in the connection gear must line up exactly with this hole. The pinch speed down gear has two markings. The first one on the top side is used for alignment with the pinch cam and will be approximately in the 12 o'clock position. The second marking, not shown here, is a small hole on the underside of the gear, which must be lined up with a hole in the 10 o'clock position on the main cam gear, viewed from the underside of the machine. This is shown on figure A1, page 11 of the G mechanism manual, or page 13 of the G2 manual. When viewed from the top, the gears will now appear as shown. Next, we align the pinch cam gear. Before installing the pinch cam gear, make sure that the P5 arm and P5 sector gear are aligned as shown on page 14, figure A11. Also, make sure that the reference hole on the mode select switch is in the 6 o'clock position before being aligned with the pinch cam, as shown. The pinch cam has two markings. The first is a hole, which will be in the 12 o'clock position and is used to align with the mode select switch. Lining up with the hole in the mode select switch. The second is a raised tooth, which is in the 6 o'clock position and aligns with the hole in the pinch speed down gear. These alignments must be perfect. The pinch roller is now reinstalled. Followed by the pinch cam cap. Now the P4 arm is reinstalled in the position shown. Confirmation of mechanism alignment is carried out manually. If alignment is correct, when the centre pulley is turned clockwise, the supply spool rotates. When turned anti-clockwise, the take-up spool rotates. This confirms stop or subloaded mode. By firing the solenoid and rotating the centre pulley anti-clockwise, the mechanism can be moved towards the fully loaded position. The solenoid has to be fired 5 times in conjunction with rotating the centre pulley to achieve the play position. Rotate the centre pulley in the opposite direction to unload the mechanism, again firing the solenoid where necessary. This completes the manual check on mechanism alignment. Mode switch alignment can only be checked electrically, therefore connect the unit to the mains. Mechanical reset should occur, as shown, i.e. entry and exit guides shuffle and supply spool rotates and then stops. When the play key is pressed, the unit should go into play mode. When the fast forward key is pressed, the unit should go into Q mode, and when rewind is pressed, the unit should go into review. Note that the take-up spool should be rotated manually to prevent the machine returning to the stop mode. If all these functions occur, the mode switch is aligned correctly with the mechanism. The rewind and fast forward modes can also be checked. These tests can only be carried out with the mechanism starting off in the stop position. Installation of the cassette housing is as shown. The cassette housing should be installed in the stop mode. The cassette housing should be installed in the stop mode. The wiper arm should be horizontal, indicating the cassette down position. Alignment of the cogs on the wiper arm should be noted as shown. If this alignment is incorrect, the cassette housing will malfunction, repeatedly ejecting the cassette. The rack gear on the right-hand side plate is then aligned with the connection gear as shown on page 16 of the GMEC manual or page 20 of the G2 manual. Please note that in the G mechanism manual, figure A20 shows an error. The labelling should read first tip rather than second tip. While holding the sub-wiper arm down, install the cassette housing into position, making sure that the rack and connection gear are aligned as previously shown. It sometimes helps if you use a screwdriver to hold the wiper arm down while installing the cassette housing. Install the 4 red screws to secure the housing. The cassette holder unit can only be installed with the mechanism in the eject position. This is achieved by firing the solenoid and rotating the pulley clockwise until P4 and P5 arms unload, and then the wiper arms on the housing move into the eject position. Install the cassette holder as shown. Then install the cassette flap and top plate. Finally, fit the 3 screws that hold the top plate into position. And, of course, reinstall the wiring loom. Please note that on earlier models, a small screw is fitted at the top right-hand side of the metal plate to hold an earthing tag in place. Never use a screw longer than the one provided, approximately 5 millimeters, as this will cause damage to the grooves which carry the cassette holder. Check the cassette housing alignment by inserting a tape and performing normal functions.